The poster child of the American dream, the single-family house with a white picket fence, a front yard, a dog yard, is under attack. For a long time, it's been like the pride and joy of Los Angeles. It allowed us to criticize the people of New York for living in shoeboxes. But now there's a huge amount of pressure to get rid of single-family houses. So first, let's take a look at the issue and how this could affect current homeowners and future buyers. So why is a single-family house in Los Angeles under attack? The problem, there is a big housing shortage, and according to a report by Up for Growth, the US in general has a big housing shortage, and the state with the biggest shortage is California. And the metro area with the biggest housing shortage in the country is, of course, Los Angeles. So the issue, housing shortage, and Los Angeles is leading the way. To which you may be like, okay, easy peasy, let's just build more houses. The problem is, where? The mountains are a fire hazard, the ocean is, well, no go, and we've already gone far enough in every other direction to the point that people are pretty much living in traffic. So limited options has led some people to be like, what about these other people in 6,000 square foot lots with their white picket fences that only house like 3 humans and a dog? We could build like 10 houses there and house like 30 people. To which other people are like, well, technically no, you can't, because that's zoned for a single family house only, which means by law you can only build one house. To which they're like, okay, cool, let's just get rid of single family zoning. So they put on their flannel shirts, grabbed their $10 cup of coffee, and started a campaign. And that's pretty much the story of why the single family house in Los Angeles is under attack. And in some cities, this rezoning or densifying is already happening. In 2019, Minneapolis became the first city to ban single family zoning. Cities like Portland, Seattle have also made changes to their single family zoning to allow more density. And in recent years, Los Angeles has also passed policy for a more dense city. In 2019, the city of Los Angeles passed an ordinance to allow ADUs, or essentially build another unit where previously only one single family house was allowed. In 2021, the state of California passed SB 9, which now potentially allows you to subdivide your single family lot and put 2 units on each lot for a total of potentially 4 units, where previously only 1 was allowed. So whether they get rid of single family zoning or not, what we can say with a lot of certainty is Los Angeles is on track to become a more dense city. And the idea of a housing shortage in California is actually nothing new. Back in 1969, over 50 years ago, California started making cities accountable to creating a certain amount of housing to meet a growing population through a program called RHNA, or Regional Housing Needs Allocation. Every 8 years, cities were essentially supposed to provide a report to the state of California with their plan to create more housing. But forever, cities pretty much ignored this or didn't really care, as the consequences were minimal. But recently, in panic mode due to the big housing shortage, the consequences brought on by the state are a lot more severe. Cities could face potential fines of up to $100,000 a month, state funding could be withheld, or cities can actually lose control over their zoning codes. For example, recently, Santa Monica failed to provide a viable plan to build more housing, and for a short period lost control over their zoning. In that short period, under what is called builder's remedy, developers were able to bypass city code, go to the state level, which essentially allowed one developer to build like over 1,000 units, where previously they had only gotten approval for like 180 units. So yes, now the consequences for cities that don't create more housing are real. And by the way, my name is Daniel Rangel, real estate agent on the west side of Los Angeles. If I can be of any help, it would be an honor. For a consultation, you can find my information in the description below. And if you like this video, make sure to hit like or subscribe. And because the housing shortage is at a national level, there's also pressure from the federal government. Under the recent Housing Supply Action Plan, the Biden administration is putting pressure on cities and offering incentives to build more housing, including to get rid of exclusionary zoning, or essentially single-family zoning. So with new pressure from the state and the federal government, we can expect Los Angeles to become a lot more dense at possibly a faster pace. And again, to all of this, the big elephant in the room right now is the single-family house, with a big movement to try to get rid of all single-family zoning. But all of this said, let's talk potential consequences, or what can this mean to current homeowners and future buyers. And here are my general thoughts. One, whether they succeed in eliminating single-family zoning or not, one thing is pretty much for sure: Los Angeles is going to become more dense. And regardless of how they do it, that means land in Los Angeles is going to be more valuable, and the single-family houses, because of their land in certain areas, are just going to be worth so much more. One is just going to be like this ultra luxury to say you own a single-family house with a front yard and a backyard, or on the other extreme, you're just going to be able to build like this mini skyscraper, which again is going to make your land worth so much more. And even as of now, there's already a shortage of single-family houses. I mean, the only new single-family houses actually being built are the ones replacing older single-family houses. You don't really have a lot of new single-family lots hitting the market. Number 2, so one of the goals in eliminating single-family zoning in Los Angeles and bringing more density is to create more affordable housing, but I'm not exactly sure what they mean by affordable housing, like affordable for renters or affordable for homeowners. See, I think this will result in more affordable rent, but I'm not quite sure this will result in more affordable homeownership. The problem I see right now is that the majority of high-density housing or high-rises being built in Los Angeles, they're not condos, they're apartments for rent. Hardly anyone is building new condominiums. So even if you lift density restrictions, developers are choosing to build rental units because the incentives are much bigger. One, it's riskier for developers to build condos. Financing for developers to build condos is harder to get, and it's just more liability because in California, developers can be liable for construction defects for up to 10 years after construction. And some HOAs have made it almost a default to sue before the 10-year mark. And because of this, the very few condos that are actually being built are high-end luxury condos where the prices can justify the expense and the extra risk. So if the single-family house is becoming extinct and the affordable alternative is not really being built anymore, the condo, I think, yes, rents may become more affordable, but unless something changes, home ownership may actually become more expensive. Number 3. Now, for a sample of what eliminating single-family zoning can potentially do in higher-end neighborhoods, we actually don't need to look too far. In the high-end neighborhood of Venice, single-family zoning is kind of non-existent. Most of it is zoned for small-scale multi-unit housing. So, what's happened? Not only are rental apartments not really being built, on the contrary, they're being removed. Small multi-unit rental properties are being bought, knocked down, and replaced with like 4,000 square foot high-end single-family houses. So the question is, well, why? One, because independent of zoning, a single-family house represents the highest and best use for this area. And 2, because of rent control laws in Los Angeles, it's actually easier to knock down a small multi-unit property and build a single-family house than it is to knock down a small multi-unit property and replace it with a better multi-unit property. The reason is because one of the very few ways you can actually vacate a rent-controlled unit in Los Angeles is if you remove it from the rental market, or aka turn it into a single-family house under the Ellis Act. Now, another thing that's happening in Venice that can offer some insight into the future are small lot subdivisions. In 2005, which a lot of people are actually not aware of, the city of Los Angeles passed the small lot subdivision ordinance, which, as the name intuitively implies, allows you to subdivide your traditional lot to a size that was previously not possible. Now, this is currently only allowed in multi-unit zoning. They kind of look like townhouses, but they're actually standalone single-family houses. But even then, still, these tiny lot houses can go for up to like $3 million because developers typically try to maximize the space and build the biggest house they can. So while many neighborhoods may still be made up of single-family houses independent of zoning changes, lot sizes may just start getting smaller. But in summary, Los Angeles is going to become a more dense city, and whether they get rid of single-family zoning or not, I think the single-family residence, because of its land and scarcity, is going to become more valuable. And unless something is done, rents may become more affordable, but home ownership in general, condo or house, may actually get more expensive. But let me know what you guys think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Put it in the comments below. And big fat disclaimer, keep in mind all of this is theory and anything can change and anything can happen. So do not buy a single family house or any house you can't afford just because you think property values are going to go up. My recommendation is don't buy anything that you can't reasonably expect to hold on to for minimum 5 years, ideally 10 years, and well, super ideally until you die. And by the way, my name is Daniel Rangel, real estate agent on the west side of Los Angeles. If I can be of any help, it would be an honor. For a consultation, you can find my information in the description below. And if you like this video, make sure to hit like or subscribe. But either way, thanks a bunch for watching and have an awesome day.